Hello, and welcome back to Factorio's Space Age. We have been developing our factory on Novice. We are up to the point where we are ready to start building the main bus-based factory. We've got a decent microfactory going with all sorts of logistic coverage, and we have carved out our territory. We can see here that we do indeed have walls in the south, wall in the west, and some pillboxes in the north for defense. And our next foray to kill the biters will probably be using better armor and robots in my armor and lasers and all of that. We are going to give it a shot of just leaving things alone and developing our factory until we start actually having some problems with biters, because if our current defenses can handle what's out there, there's no need to work on them. So, the main bus. I've been looking for a nice, long, straight place to put the main bus, preferably where one end has a bunch of resources. And I didn't really want to start right off by adding a lot of pollution down towards the biters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this iron ore and this copper ore. Let's go ahead and add some tags, 65 million there. If I tag it now, it means in the future, when I'm looking at my base, I can work out how much of that iron ore I have consumed. And 67 million copper ore over here. We don't have any coal over here. The coal is all over on the western side. And, well, what do we need coal for anyway, right? Well, we need some coal. We'll get that pulled in at some point. I'll probably belt it in from the micro base to start. Eventually, we'll train it in from one of the coal mines. I may just run the coal mine all the way down to here. Yeah, this coal mine, if I really started cranking up mining of coal, we could get a fairly good-sized pollution plume out of it. But the important thing is we've got this crude oil here, 10141%. 10K%. So 10,000% oil. And we have uranium, 26 million. At some point, we will be moving over to using nuclear power. And that's the uranium we will tap for it. And I will probably end up putting my actual nuclear power over out here on the water. Oh, which means we're going to need stone. Do I have stone anywhere where I can harvest it without getting too much of a biter plume? I'm thinking here. We can train it in from down here when it comes time to need it. And there's another 17 million over there. 18 million stone is like a good amount, right? Okay. Smelting. My first thought was, I can make solid fuel and use that to run my smelters. My second thought was, oh, hell no. Because we have electric guys. Where do we go? Here, electric furnaces. Now, they are bigger than the stone furnaces and steel furnaces, and they're not a whole lot better, but you can put modules in them. And we are going to be moduling the heck out of this. My whole design for this factory is going to be balanced around using Mark II production modules everywhere I can, and sprinkling in a few Mark II speed modules where I must. Okay, with that said, all of our resources over here, or truckable, let's actually mark the coal, acknowledging that I'm going to be pulling coal from here. We've got 64 million coal over there. So we're going to need a coal railway to bring the coal in. I'm going to go ahead and mark this crude oil. This is 6.7K%. I may combine the coal, the oil refineries. There's actually the possibility that what I'll just do is instead of making a new refinery using this, I will simply expand this refinery out to be as large as I need it. And we'll just have it be the location of the real refinery and have it remain as the microbase goes away. Okay, so we have our location set. We're going to start our main bus here and proceed to the west, which means that off to the right, this is where I'm going to want to put my smelters, and we're going to sacrifice that copper ore. In fact, I am going to get out my ore eraser, and we're going to get rid of it. It doesn't exist. We never saw it. It was never there. I don't know what you're talking about. But this is where we're doing our smelting, and I will start laying out smelters when I am sure of what order the smelters need to be in. But they're going to start from here, just south of this thingy. I don't think I have cliff explosives until I've gone elsewhere. And they will lay out to the south. I want to lay out our bus basically starting with the core items between these two power lines and heading west. So let's mark where we want our bus to be. I'm going to send the power all the way out to there. Just like that. Let's turn off our pollution for now. So those are the power lines that are at the north and south of the core bus. I may expand the bus further to the south. The bus itself will stop at these lines. However, there will be temporary bus usage north of them. Most importantly, we do not want to be depending on the lanes of the bus to supply enough iron and copper for us to make all of the green chips and red chips and blue chips, nor do we want to have the bus lanes on the bus for green chips to be carrying all of the green chips we need for making our red chips and blue chips. So I'm going to start right off here with a green chip build sized for everything. I toyed around with the idea of doing a blue chip build that is totally self-contained. So it has its own red chip and green chip stuff, and we can do that. It works better once we have modules, and it's a really finicky build. And to tell you the truth, it's kind of a pain in the butt. And it's a big thing to start off with. Ditto the red. Building out the red to contain its own green chip production is a pain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a green chip array for the ages. We are going to be producing 4 full belts of green chips. And that's because we need a full belt of green chips for our red chip array, and we need 2 full belts of green chips for our blue chip array. And that's going to only leave 1 belt of green chips for the rest of the bus, but that should be enough, given that our major uses of green chips in the real base are to make red chips and blue chips, and we've already taken care of that. We should be good. How big is this? Well, if we assume Mark II production modules and blue Mark II assemblers, it's 96 machines, 96 assemblers making green chips. Okay, that breaks down. Okay. Well, let's go build it. Do I have, I don't have stuff on me to actually do the build I want to do. So I probably should have done this before we started. I want to be carrying more Roboports. I want to be carrying robots of various sorts. How many did we make? We made 200. I'm going to raise this so we're keeping 500 in the box. So the question is, do I want to unify my logistic area, or do I want to carry everything? I think what I want to do is unify the logistics area. So this is going to take a bit. We'll have to come back and increase the amount of robots in the Roboport area. Let me go up to the base of the bus, and we'll set up some things with blueprints first. We've got grenades to clear trees. Yay! Okay, so here's where my power is. We have enough technology that it takes one grenade to clear an entire set of trees. Okay. Now, normally, I'm setting up this bus when I'm still dependent on yellow belts. And as such, it means that I'm using yellow undergrounds to go under it. In this case, we're using fast underground belts. So what if I have this being my... Oh, that works out pretty well. So what this gives us is 4 sets of 6 belts each as our primary payload for the bus. And north of that, I'm going to put our there. So for now, I'm going to set up this blueprint so that I get Roboport coverage to the north and south of the main part of the bus. I'm going to designate this area up here to be walking path. And let's take the stone brick here, and I'm going to blueprint across here. I don't anticipate driving, so the path doesn't need to be 4 wide, and this puts it comfortably north of the Roboport. And we'll do another path south here. I really should have cleared a lot more. There we go. And you look like that. So all of these lanes reserved for belts. We're going to need fluids up here. I don't know how many fluids or what kind. Let's see. If I put this in, we're going to need a little bit wider. Hold on. Start with you. I'm going to put one of you pipes in the middle here. And I think this is one short of full when we layer it out, but we'll see. I don't know how many fluids I'm going to need. I'll reserve 8 lanes, though. In the long run, what I'm going to want to do is continually augment this bus base. So I'm looking forward to someday putting molten iron and molten copper on this base. So we may need a lot of lanes for fluid, and it's better to have reserved them and not use them than to not reserve them and say, well, where can I snake this in? So let's grab this. I'm going to put in another lane here. Now, I did not get my blueprint completely done. Let's pick it up again, and I'm going to include tiles. So you are going to go here. Next thing is, let's get rid of those undergrounds. I will put in a fresh set of them in a place where it makes sense. So we can't actually have the undergrounds going through power because the power is in the area where we want them. But I can and will put it in here. Grab this, spin it horizontally and put it down here. Grab this and put it down in both of those places. So this has the blueprint for the bus that I want to do. Sometimes I will lay out the bus and I will pre-allocate the lanes, but sometimes lanes are going left and sometimes they're going right. So I'm not going to do it this time. What I will do is I will stripe the lanes in as I allocate them. Now to the north of this, I am going to require some raw materials. This is where I'm going to transit over the iron plates and copper plates that are used to make the chip arrays, and the green chips that are going to be consumed by blue and red chips. Note that my red and blue chips are going to be restricted to eating, I think, 2 of the lanes, or 2 of the belts from the G-chip array, which means we are not going to be able to run blue and red chips at full steam at the same time. I think that's okay. No, I'm not. 2 plus 1 plus 1. Okay, so we do have enough. Okay. And I will lay out the stuff to the north of this in an ad hoc basis. It's not part of the actual build. So let's see here. Our actual blueprint will be this cell, this pair of cells, excluding things outside and including the tiles, like that. Snap to grid absolute. There we go. Okay, so now I can drag this all the way out here. This is what I'm committing to for my main bus. And we're not going to go past there because that is... Oh, hold on. Nope, that's all right. That's where we stop. If I go to here, then we try to put it through the thingy. I am going to save this, though, as main bus framing. So this will carry power and logistics and the complete fluid pipe set and undergrounds showing us where our actual cargo will go. These undergrounds should be ignored, but they are convenient for picking up and moving around or just using as a guide. Next step is I want to unify our logistics areas. So we need to bring something north. Well, how about that? We could do that right here. I'm going to do those three like that. Bing, bing, bing. And there's a good chance that I did not get these set up with their... Yes, I didn't do group assignments. Okay, so we're going to have to clip this again. You are getting resident robots. Or I could just stripe it across. Okay, all you guys, when you go into place, I will be asking for resident robots. And if I missed any, I missed them. I can always go back and put them in. It sounded like there were some where we had to clear some space first. And I am going to let my robots do their thing. I'm actually going to expand time here. And I'm going to take everything I have on me and put it back in the inventory so our robots have resources to work with. And there we are, running at 8x speed, letting the robots lay out power and logistics for the main bus. I should probably mute my microphone before I chug my drink, huh? Now, it's quite possible that the robots are beginning to run low on materials. 435 entities are missing the material for construction. Yeah, the underground pipes. I didn't make a bajillion of those before we started. The other thing I want to do is put on my big boy pants on my logistics robots down here. And I'm going to set my limits based on the number of Roboports. And you are going to, oh, you guys are producing number of Roboports on R. So R. And times something. Let's do 20 of these guys and 20 of these guys for each thing. Actually, let's multiply it by minus 20. No, that's too much sugar for a nickel. Multiply it by 20 for our desired goal. And you're going to be on green coming back to here. And we're going to say y is less than, let's say n. N is the number of robots we want. And this output is n. And this guy, whoops, get him a green wire here, and T is less than N. So with the number of Roboports in the system, suddenly we're being asked to increase ourselves to 1,300 of each kind of robot. That's what happens when you start expanding your Roboports and your logistics coverage. I don't really worry too much about having too many robots until it's up in the 20 or 30,000 robot range. Then I start thinking, is it going to affect my UPS? So with that done, I'm going to go back up here. And notice we are, in fact, paving our way. We're doing here construction, a lot of construction robots available. So let's grab our site prep. I will be augmenting this later on to include things that are on other planets. So we're going to site prep everything that's in the logistic network area. I could go everything that's green, but that's kind of excessive right now. Let's bring it down to here, and I'm going to go all the way out to the wall. So this will be everything inside the bus. And we're just going to grab all of that, and that's all going to go away. So it'll be nice and clean. Now, up here somewhere, I want to start building my green chips. Let's do the layout first where there's no coverage. Now, what did I say? I need a total of 96 machines making green chips. Woo! So, my idea is I have a machine making copper coils. Actually, let's put these. Oh, I need to carry some stuff. Let's go get our base carry stuff going. Rather than have all the robots run so far to pick it up, I'm going to come in here and let the robots feed me. Actually, I can do my design work down here, can't I? Yes, I can. So, simplified green chip array. You are doing green chips. I am going to put in power here. And you are going to be doing copper coils. We're outputting 3 copper coils per second, which means that this guy needs to be close in. He also needs to be taking in a lot of copper. Well, let's see. There's that. Just back to X1. Like that. Okay, so your copper comes in here. And this will need to have iron at 1.5 per second coming in, and green chips at 1.5 per second going out. Now, there are tricks that I have pulled in the past to lace these together. And I may do them. In fact, I think I really do need to do them. Okay, so there's that. These will balance once I get 2 prods in there and a prod and a speed in there. So these will not balance until I have Mark II modules. But until then, we'll just let it run. Basically, this machine's going to be running at 2/3 speed. That's okay. Mirror it vertically. Drop that in. Replace those guys with lamps. Always on. You know what? I think I am going to do this a little differently this time. Can I do these in groups of 3? I'm going to see if this works. Okay. These guys need 1.5 per second coming in, and that will be a little bit lower once I get the prod module in, and a little bit higher once I get the speed module in. So yeah, we're going to be doing, I'm just going to do that. I don't have any idea how much it's going to be needed, but there's nothing else I can put in there, and that's great. Now, all 3 of these need to be taking in iron and putting out green chips. I'm thinking if I'm going to be producing 4 lines of output, hold on, thinking. So 12 machines will, 12 of these machines, after I put in the modules and everything, will fill up one side of the red belt. Okay, so we go 12 of these high, and we put one of those down, and we put down 4 sets of that. Oh, 12 machines high, side by side. That's going to be using up a lot of horizontal real estate. We have a lot, but I don't want to be using it all up. I'd rather use vertical real estate, which means I want to put 24 of these and 24 on the other side. So we end up looking like this at some distance, which I'll have to fix. So 24 rows high to get 2 lanes out. Okay. So if I do like this, iron going down, input going up, I will have to arrange at some point for us to be filling in both sides of the belt. Okay, so you snap to grid. That fills up one side of that belt. That fills up one side of each of 2 belts. That fills up 2 belts entirely. Which means in here, somewhere, let's mark this. So iron is going to skip over this going north. That'll give me a marker that I can work with. Okay, so these guys will put it all on this lane. Put these in. This sends everybody output priority right. This sends output priority left. So it will pack everything it can on this lane, and if that lane backs up, it will leave it on the outer lane and we'll be good. This can just do that. So this build should handle output of 2 full lanes of green chip. So this is half of our actual build. Let's see, this should be 96 machines total, half of which are well, okay, so we double this for our big build. Iron plates, we need 3.6 iron for the big builds. This is 1.8 iron, which means 2 belts of iron. So we have iron and iron here. That works. I could put in that, emphasizing that's our output. And let's put markers down here so I don't forget that these are iron. And copper. Our big array with everything moduled up needs 5.05 copper, which means this is 2.5 lanes, belts of copper. Let's call it 3 belts of copper, which means on the right here, this is 1.5 belts of copper, which means 1 belt supplies 2/3 of these. I'm going to go up to the halfway point with 2 copper belts. So I'm going to mark this as you are copper plate and you are half a belt of copper plate. Let's put something in here that says I'm half a belt. There. That will remind me of what's going on there. Stripe you all the way up to the top. Now at the midway point, your output is priority right, filtering deconstruction planners. So deconstruction planners will go to the right, everybody else is going to go to the left. At this point, I want to take my priority input from the right. There we go. Grab this whole thing, flip it horizontally. There we go. And there is our half build. There's 2 lanes of green chips. We need basically 3 belts of copper and 2 belts of iron to do this. Now, as we get productivity modules put in, the quantities will go down. And in fact, the copper goes down fairly dramatically from 6 belts to 5 point something belts. 5.05 belts, as a matter of fact. Let's grab this. I'm going to put it in my book here. We are going to be saying this is green chips. And let's record what our technologies are. We are doing assembly machine 2. We are doing red belts. And we are not doing anything modules, so I'll just put in blue inserters here. Materials will be reduced when prod.2 modules are installed, and balance will be achieved when speed.2. There we go. Let's put it down here. I need to put down 2 of them. I need to put it down far enough north that we have room to maneuver. I'm going to put it all the way up here. Okay. And I think I'm going to center it here. So notice that my far leftmost one, oh, wait a minute, that's going to be difficult to pull off, or is it? No, it should be okay. If we're only going to be running one lane of each, it might be a problem. I'll bring it over one more. Actually, let's center it. Let's center it on the grid line. Okay, so I guess this is the pattern we're going to use, centered on the grid line, and the machine's snugged right up to the grid line, like that. We're going to do the same thing here. And now our robots are going to go deliver that. All that stuff. We don't actually have construction coverage for that whole area. I'm going to place it down just like that. Sorry, I had to sneeze. That should get me coverage. I think I'm going to go ahead and put coverage up along this line, because that will actually give me construction coverage all the way down. And I need to put coverage on this guy. Can I move you? I can. Can't be removed while remote viewing. Okay, that's got some remote coverage for me. Site prep needs to be done. Oh, come on. Let's put it on our hotbar. So I am going to have site prep of full cells starting from here and going all the way out to here. Okay, next thing is setting up power here. We do have power poles set up, and I guess we're going to get power from here. Not the way I really want to do it long term. I really want this to be our power source. So let's remove... Actually, let's remove all connections from you. Turn you on and turn you on. Again, this is backbone power. We don't want to connect to anything but other backbone power. Okay, I'm going to have to run up there now because I cut power to my radar. I need to practice not doing that. If I cut power to my radar when I am, say, on a different planet, things can get very, very difficult. And I'm going to manually place these roboports. At least some of them. So these guys, these arrays, will need to have private supplies 4 belts worth of iron and 6 belts worth of copper. So 10 belts total, which need to come into here from smelters that are over here that only feed these guys. And I tell you, it was tempting to set these up to receive their inputs from the north and put their private smelters to the north. In fact, it's not just tempting. I think I'm going to do that. Let's reverse this. So probably easiest if I just pick up the whole thing and reverse it. Yeah. In fact, I could plop it back down properly oriented. This is the nice thing about big blueprints and lots of robots. So the only error is going to be that my output line is going to have to be reworked. And that's going to be easy. Or at least the output line to the main bus gets reworked. Okay, so there's that. You need to be priority left. And you need to be priority right. Now I could take these guys, I could take these north and send them over to red and blue to the left if I knew that the red and blue arrays were the same length. I don't think they are. So I think what I'm gonna do is grab all of this stuff from the middle like that and replace it with what I just corrected here. Okay. And there's my output. So all of this needs to come together and head off to the left. One line needs to be sent down to take part in the main bus. And the other 3 need to go to the left where they're going to be used for red chips and blue chips. This makes my red chip array and my blue chip array a little simpler. The red chip array becomes the standard build that I use, that I've used for a very long time, that consumes green chips from the bus, except it's going to consume it from a private supply. And blue chip, again, it's the same thing. I will be organizing it a little bit differently. Normally I do a single line. I'll be doing a double line. And each line will have 1 belt of green. Not a belt and a half, just 1 belt. But that's going to take 2 full belts of green chips into my blue chip array. Let's speed this up so I can see what's going on. Actually, it's at X64, we see our fatal flaw, which is we are out of power. Boom. Power production over the last 10 minutes completely flatlined. I drew our power down so low that our power station was unable to continue. Now you notice we do have a little bit of stuff up here, but ain't nobody doing anything until we get some power in. So to correct this, first thing I need to do is sever the link to the power station. I did not think ahead. So this is going to be unfortunate. Okay, so the power station's completely disconnected. The Roboports, I need to move away from the power station. So that they are not powered from the power station. Hold on. Okay. That's all set. We literally have no power at this point. So you just need to have a supply of fuel and a supply of water. Well, the water doesn't require power, but I need a supply of fuel that is independent of power. And I need enough power to run you guys to get the fuel going. What I really want is to run the whole thing on solid fuel. But we're not there yet. You know, I should have put down some solar while I had a chance. Yeah. How much coal? I have a bunch of coal here. I could start feeding the coal in. What I'd really like to be able to do is turn on the power and then have the power here start to grind up and get fuel out without powering everything else. But that's not going to happen. Let's see what happens if I just start fueling things up. Can I kickstart it manually? So don't trash anything. Grab all the coal. And I'm just going to run down the list. So you guys get some coal, and you guys get some coal. And I'm just holding down the right control and right mouse button so that the even distribution will do it now. Control left mouse button. We're going to put the rest of our coal in these guys. So that fired all you guys up. And now we can add our power back to the main base. We are producing 144 megawatts of the 508 that we want because of all this. Yeah. It's all robots. I exercised my robots to the point where we do not have enough power. Question, is that enough to get some coal flowing? A little teeny bit of coal. And we are already out of coal. Holy smoke. I need to have this fuel coming in here. Now, I'm hoping that as I mix the solid fuel in, that will boost my coal production up. And we may need to put more miners down. Hold on. Let's use the better miners. Mini base. No, not mini base. Miner unit 2. Let's grab all of this. And I'm going to dump more coal. Okay, this is looking much more healthy. We are prioritizing the first line, then the second line, then the third, then the fourth. I am going to drop the coal in the fourth line to temporarily increase our power production quantity. It's going to be short term because we're going to run through this coal pretty fast, but there it is. Oh, we've got some more. So pipeline has been overextended. So these pipelines that I've been building are actually too long, and I'm going to need pumping stations if I want to have them be carrying the fluids all the way down the line. 320, which is 10 cells, is the limit, and we have how many cells? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is as far as you can go without pumps. Pumps do 1,200 units per second, which is 72,000 per minute. That is a lot. If you need more, you can put multiple pumps in parallel. So we may need to have gaps in our bus here that says, okay, this little gap is a place where we're going to take fluids off the bus and put a whole bunch of parallel pumps on them. I think putting the pumping stations south of the bus is probably our best bet. How are we doing for power now? We are satisfied. We are only using 40 megawatts because I am not sending them out my infinite number of robots. And look at all of this. We could benefit by putting down some more miners, couldn't we? Look at all of the miners that have been picked up because they have nothing left to mine. So I did start off this iron ore up here. I didn't mark it. Let's mark it now. It's currently at 27 million. I wish I had marked where it was originally. So we're only using 2 of the 4 lanes coming out of this guy. So we could shift our iron over so that the other 2 lanes of iron come down and feed these guys. But you'll notice right now, because we don't have enough fuel coming in, okay, we don't have enough fuel to run our smelters. This is unfortunate. Now, I don't mind seeing mixtures here. This is just for fuel. And trains are going to pick this stuff up. These trains, fuel. I don't believe the schedule says anything explicit about coal. No, it doesn't. Nor do my filters. Spoilage, I apparently had some fish in there. Fish spoil. That's fine. That's a new thing. We'll get into spoilage later, but for now we're just going to ignore the little bit of spoilage from the fact that we have fish. So there's a place where we need actual, honest to goodness, really, really just coal. And that's on this line here. And it's being peeled off here, so I should be bringing my actual fuel over to here. Input priority left. This is all wrong. Needs to go here. So once this is filled in, I will divert my fuel to go up that line. So at this point, because of the lack of coal, the only thing we are really building here is we are taking all of our incoming crude oil and it is all being turned into solid fuel. And the light oil should be staying comfortably below the limit for being cracked. And in fact, it should over time decrease because well, I don't know. Wait a minute. I set that up so we're pretty close to level there. We might, in fact, be okay just bumping up against the limit. These machines, I think... Okay, we're steadily cracking the heavy oil down. We're steadily cracking the light oil, which means we need more machines making solid fuel from light oil. This needs to be bigger. We actually have more light oil than these guys can handle. Oh, wait a minute. No. That's correct. Look at this. We are producing this at the appropriate rate. So what I want to do is send this into both of those. So first of all, we're going to take this fuel and send it over to here and merge it into this coal line. And the second thing is I want to merge into both of these lines. Oh, I better be on site there as I do this. This needs to happen without interrupting the power. Okay, so we're going to bring one of them in there and one of them in there. These are going to input priority from the left. So they will prefer to bring in solid fuel when we have it available. This guy is going to be output priority left. So the solid fuel will first go to these lines, which go out to our power plant. And if we have more solid fuel than that, it will go out to the east. Now you guys, if these guys are chewing up enough solid fuel, these guys should always be running. Oh, you. Oh, you. Why are you paused? Why are you only... Oh, this is the wrong condition. These guys are supposed to be light oil. There we go. So these guys should never trigger because, well, actually they should trigger, but only slowly. We do have coal coming in now, so we're making plastic again, which means these won't trigger. Okay, so we ran a bit over while I recovered the power, but we now have this situation where we have our solid fuel, which looks like all going out to the left, and it's almost enough solid fuel to power us. That may stabilize out as more of these machines switch over from drawing coal to drawing the solid fuel. Once they get solid fuel in them, that'll be good. Okay, power is recovered. Yay! And we've got solid fuel going to power. Yay! I think we need to bring nuclear power online. So that will be, I think, our next thing. So we're going to pause in our construction of the main base here, or the bus base. I'm going to pause and I'm going to head down here and start the uranium ore going so we can start moving towards nuclear power. As you saw what that peak was, okay? We had a power peak that was in the half gigawatt range. Let's grab our powers. Again, let's take a look at this over the last 10 hours. Oh, that's not going to show us anything. But it does show us that we did peak up there. Over the last hour, bump, bump, we were getting way up to the top. This doesn't show us what we wanted. It only shows us what we got. But Roboports were drawing it way up to half the gigawatt. Okay. Anyway, we will leave the red chips and blue chips and smelters alone, and I will come back and we will start work on uranium ore. I will see you then.